My dear students, welcome to NEET and PG Set Zoology platform. Today, let us continue with our preparation. Let us try to learn some fine aspects of Platyhelminthes and Nematihelminthes. We are learning about invertebrate diversity and we have learned up to Coelenterata in the previous classes. Now, in this class, let us concentrate on two phyla, namely Platyhelminthes and Nematihelminthes. Study of Helminthes is called helminthology. Study of helminths is called helminthology. Platyhelminthes includes tapeworms and flukes. Tapeworms and flukes are included under the phylum Platyhelminthes because of their flat nature. Tapeworms are flat because their body is dorso-ventrally flattened like a tape or like a ribbon. The reason for this dorso-ventrally flattened body nature is in order to accommodate themselves in the intestine, because in the intestine the space available is very less. So in order to accommodate themselves in this less space inside the intestine, they have opted for dorso-ventrally flattened tape-like body. Hence they are commonly known as either tapeworms or flatworms. Flukes are another category of parasites that are included under Platyhelminthes. Flatworms are the first triploblastic animals. That means mesoderm for the first time has made its appearance in flatworms. Platyhelminthes or flatworms or tapeworms are the first triploblastic animals. Until Coelenterata, you don't find mesoderm. Only ectoderm and endoderm are the two layers that are found in Porifera and Coelenterata, whereas the third layer in between this ectoderm and endoderm, namely mesoderm, is found for the first time in Platyhelminthes. So we can say that flatworms are the first triploblastic animals. Bilateral symmetry is found for the first time in this Platyhelminthes. In Coelenterata, radial symmetry is found. Because radial symmetry is associated with the diploblastic nature and bilateral symmetry is associated with triploblastic nature. Being triploblastic, Platyhelminthes exhibit bilateral symmetry. And you know that bilateral symmetry is a condition where the animal can be cut into two equal halves. And this is often associated with triploblastic nature. All triploblastic animals are bilaterally symmetrical. All triploblastic animals are bilaterally symmetrical. Of course, there is an exemption to this. Echinodermata, which is the last phylum of invertebrates, although they are triploblastic, they exhibit pentamerous radial symmetry. They don't exhibit, echinoderms don't exhibit bilateral symmetry in spite of their triploblastic nature. But their larval stages, the larval stages of echinodermates are bilaterally symmetrical and adult stages are pentamerous radially symmetrical. So anyway, let us come back to the Platyhelminthes. Being triploblastic in nature, Platyhelminthes exhibit bilateral symmetry. All triploblastic animals are bilaterally symmetrical except echinoderms. Platyhelminthes exhibit pseudometamerism. Pseudometamerism is a condition where the body is divided into certain segments which are called proglatids in the case of tapeworms. The body segments in the case of tapeworms are called proglatids. Let me show the slide. Here you can see this part. This is called scolex, which contains hooks, and this is neck. The next part is neck, and the remaining part is called strobila. And you can find the body segments. These body segments, in case of tapeworm, are called proglatids, and these proglatids arise from this neck region. In earthworm, the body segments come from the anal region, whereas in case of Platyhelminthes, the body segments, namely proglatids, arise from the neck region. Hence this is called pseudometamerism. I hope now we have understood the difference between metamerism and pseudometamerism. In metamerism, the new segments arise from the anal region, whereas in case of pseudometamerism, which is found in Platyhelminthes, the proglatids arise from the neck region. So in case of pseudometamerism, the proglatids arise from the neck region and platyhelminthes exhibit pseudometamerism. Body segments in tapeworm are called proglatids. Of course, these proglatids are divided into three types, namely immature proglatids, mature proglatids, and gravid proglatids. We will see the difference in subjective class because we are dealing only with disjointed information in this classes because we are providing everything in the form of bits. Now there is no scope for further explanation, but for the time being you remember that body segments in the tapeworm are called proglatids, and these are divided into three categories, namely immature, mature, and gravid proglatids. As the new proglatids arise from the neck region, it is called pseudometamerism. Tapeworms are intestinal parasites. Because of this habitat, because they are living inside the intestine, the tapeworms are dorsoventrally flattened. This I already made it clear. Taenia solium is called pork tapeworm as it is spread by eating measly pork. Taenia solium is called pork tapeworm as it is spread by eating measly pork. Pork means pig meat. Measly pork means the pork that is infested or that is filled up with Cysticercus larvae of Taenia solium is called measly pork. Measly pork is nothing but the pork that is filled up or that is infested with the Cysticercus larvae of tapeworm. If one eats such measly pork, Taenia solium infection occurs. Because Taenia solium infection is spread through eating pork, it is called pork tapeworm. Taenia saginata is called beef tapeworm because it is being spread by eating beef. Tapeworm has scolex which is of the size of the pinhead. We have already seen the diagram. This particular anterior part is called scolex, and you can see the suckers and also the hooks in this structure. Scolex cannot be called as head due to the absence of mouth and sense organs. If you want to call any anterior structure as head, it should contain the organ of ingestion like mouth and also certain sense organs along with brain. The scolex in case of tapeworms lack these two structures. Scolex doesn't contain the organ of ingestion, namely mouth, and sense organs are also absent in the scolex, hence you can't refer it as head. So scolex at no point of time should not be called head. It is only a holdfast organ. It is only an anchoring structure. Because it contains hooks, it gets anchored to the intestine of the human being. Because of the presence of hooks, Taenia solium is able to anchor itself to the intestine of the human being. Detachment of gravid proglatids loaded with eggs from the strobila is called apolysis. We have seen that there are three types of proglatids, namely immature, mature, and gravid proglatids. Gravid proglatids of Taenia solium contain branched uterus that is loaded with eggs. And such gravid proglatids which are loaded with or which are filled up with the copious quantities of eggs are detached either singly or in batches from the main body of the Taenia solium. This is called apolysis. Apolysis is simply the detachment of gravid proglatids from the main strobila. Tapeworms exhibit anaerobic respiration as the possibility of getting oxygen is remote in intestine. This is a parasitic adaptation because it is living in a habitat where the oxygen availability is less. It has switched over to, the tapeworm has switched over to anaerobic respiration. Tapeworms belong to the class Cestoda. There are three classes in Platyhelminthes, namely Turbellaria, Cestoda, and Trematoda. Cestoda includes tapeworms, Trematoda includes flukes, and Turbellarians include free-living Platyhelminthes. Tapeworms exhibit osmotropic mode of nutrition. If the food is taken or if the food is absorbed through general body surface like a blotting paper, it is called osmotropic mode of nutrition. Because the tapeworm is living inside the intestine where the food is already digested, it simply absorbs the digested food material through the body surface. Thus, tapeworms are either saprozoic in nature or you can also call them as osmotropic in nature. Hexaconth, oncosphere and cystis circus are the larvae found in life cycle of Taenia solium. Hexaconth, oncosphere and cystis circus are the larvae found in the life cycle of Taenia solium. This is the structure of scolex, neck and part of strobila in Taenia solium. Fasciola hepatica is called liver fluke as it is present in the bile duct of sheep. Ascaris is called roundworm. Here on the right side you can see the picture of roundworm. Ascaris is called roundworm and roundworms belong to Nematihelminthes. And Nematihelminthes started exhibiting sexual dimorphism. Until Platyhelminthes you don't find sexual dimorphism. Tapeworm is a hermaphrodite where both male and female sexual organs are present in the same individual. Whereas coming to the Ascaris, Ascaris exhibits sexual dimorphism. You can differentiate male Ascaris lumbricoides from female Ascaris lumbricoides by seeing the external characters. Typical cell found in nematoda is Renneti cell. This is very important for all competitive examinations including NEET, including degree college lecture examination. Typical cell found in nematoda is Renneti cell. It is associated with excretion. The function of Renneti cell is excretion. Rhabditiform larva is found in the life cycle of Ascaris. Rhabditiform larva is found in the life cycle of Ascaris. Eggs of Ascaris are called mammillated eggs. This is also very important egg. You can see the mammillated egg here. Eggs of Ascaris are called mammillated eggs. Ascaris is a monogenetic parasite and human being is the single host in which the Ascaris takes its residence. Ascaris infection occurs through contamination. Because there is no secondary host, it reaches from human being to another human being only through contamination of foodstuffs. Microfilaria larva is found in Wuchereria. Wuchereria bancrophyti is a nematode parasite that causes filariasis. It is also called, this Wuchereria bancrophyti is also called a filarial worm and its larval stage is called microfilaria. Microfilaria exhibit nocturnal periodicity. This microfilaria larvae during daytime are present in visceral circulation. But during night time, microfilaria larvae migrate from visceral circulation to peripheral blood vessels. This migration of microfilaria larva from visceral circulation to peripheral circulation during night time is called nocturnal periodicity, and this nocturnal periodicity was discovered by Sir Patrick Manson. And another important bit is heterogen is the most effective drug used to treat filariasis. Normally, arsenic and antimony compounds are used to treat filariasis, and here is the famous drug heterogen, and this is the most effective drug used to treat filariasis. Filariasis is caused by the bite of female Culex mosquito. No doubt the causative organism is Wuchereria bancrophyti, but this Wuchereria bancrophyti is spread through the bite of female Culex mosquito. So these are the bits we have learned, and in the next class we will be learning about Annelida and Arthropoda. Thank you very much.